At least 378 killed in Iran protest crackdown, rights group says.
Here's a summary of the article.
1 minute read. At least 378 people, including 47 children and 27 women, have been killed so far by Iranian security forces amid a crackdown on weeks-long nationwide protests, a Norway-based human rights group says in an updated toll. The demonstrations demanding more freedoms and women's rights have grown into a broad movement against the theocracy that has ruled Iran since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. The Oslo-based Iran Human Rights on November 19 put the death toll of the state crackdown on protests at 378, representing an increase of 36 since the group issued its previous toll 3 days earlier. It includes at least 123 people killed in Sist and Balochistan province, 40 in both Kurdistan and Tehran province, and 39 in West Azerbaijan. Iran Human Rights said the authorities reject responsibility for the killings, attributing them to terrorist and foreign groups. This disinformation campaign has escalated ahead of a November 24 special session of the UN Human Rights Council set to consider establishing an independent investigation and accountability mechanism over the state crackdown on protests, it said. The purpose of the disinformation campaigns and attributing the killing of protesters to foreign armed groups is to pave the way for an even more widespread use of live ammunition against protesters, Iran Human Rights Director Mahmoud Amiri Mohaddam said.
This post received a score of 61,000, with an upvote ratio of 93%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Crackdown? It's a fucking state-ordered massacre.
It's as much of a crackdown as Russia's special military operation in Ukraine. And Hitler was just trying to show us another way.
There's fears of a massacre having taken place last night due to lots automatic rifle fire and possibly even artillery. This is what the streets in that city looked like this morning.
This was from the night. Terrifying.
This is heartbreaking. I don't know what's worse, the sound of the gunfire or the sound of the recorder's terrified breathing, cries.
I've been awake for 10 minutes and this was the first thing I heard today. My heart is weeping.
Even if you care about the situation, that's not good for your mental health.
Just seems like the state of the world these days. Can't even take a nap without shit popping off.
A country that kills its youth has no future. Looking at you, Iran and Russia.
Putin in a safer position, because he's sending everyone capable of resistance into a meat grinder. Iran has a lot of people who are young and capable. This thing is a powder keg.
From what I read, Putin is grabbing the least desirables. Normal Russians are mostly unaffected. Yet.
The rumor is that a general draft will happen very soon or beginning of next year. I hope the Russians wake up then.
Already happened. It was never a limited mobilization, that was made up by Western media. Already 15% of males in the Donbas have died.
Source?
Is there a place that lists the people killed or convicted? A friend of mine has all her socials deactivated and I have no idea if she's been caught up in all of this.
Here is a list of deaths.
Whole lot of children with headshots. If they're so religious, how do they think they'd go anywhere other than hell?
Crusader religious logic, murder in the name of God equals righteous.
The goal of the Muslims during their initial invasion in the 7th century, conquer everything and spread Islam to Europe and beyond, forced Islam on the former territories of the Eastern Roman Empire and the Sassanid Empire. They eventually started infighting after reversals, which broke up the gigantic caliphate they literally murdered and looted for. Christianity and Islam had people for 1,000 years, imposing or attempting to impose their religion on others through force of arms. Just like the fuckers in Iran imposing their version of Islam on the Iranian people.
Pretty soon the protesters are going to have to choose between giving up or a full-scale revolution.
Soon is already there. The regime is shooting at unarmed protesters, arresting them in the streets or in their homes at night, sentencing them to death in sham trials. If they stop now, the regime will bolster their censorship and security apparatus even more. They will make an example of everyone who took part in these protests. My heart is aching for the Iranian people. I wish them nothing but freedom, prosperity and safety, but I am afraid Iranians will have to go through the IRGC and their Basiji thugs in order to pry it from Khomeini's cold, dead hands.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.